Hello and welcome to NETSOL Podcast. I'm your host Azra, a field marketing coordinator at NETSOL, and today's expert guest is Farooq, also known as FG. Farooq has over 22 years in the industry. He started his career in China in 2004 and has 12 years of experience in the Americas. He's worked extensively with banks and captive finance and has worked on over 200 large-scale projects. Farooq is currently heading NETSOL APAC and is here today to talk about the trends and best practices in the asset and finance leasing industry.
Thank you, Azra. It's a pleasure to be here. And just to add a bit more about NETSOL, we've been in the asset finance industry for the past 40 years, and we've done a lot of big projects, small projects, with startups, with running companies, a long range of things. So this talk will be about what we've learned and how we can educate the market about certain pitfalls that are out there.
Today's episode will focus on a big concern in the market, which is right-sizing resources in asset finance projects.
So that's a key one, Azra, right-sizing. And what we've noticed is if a project is incorrectly sized, whether you have too many people or too less people, the kinds of risks it adds on to the project are seen all the way post-go live. So today we will focus on what is right-sizing and how this hurts or benefits the industry.
In asset finance projects like implementing a new leasing software or loan origination system, why is getting the right size and mix of team resources so important?
So it's critical as risk is one of the biggest factors in these projects, and these are 2 to 5 year projects with immense scope. You're talking about front end, back ends, originations, contract management systems. So there's a lot of moving bits and pieces that are going on. So to have the right size team for that particular scope or project is key. You don't want to have too many mechanics trying to fix something that they're not experts in, but they will be on the project, slowing the project down.
How do you determine the right team size for a project? Are there best practices that you follow to avoid certain pitfalls or?
Absolutely. So I would break the answer into 2 parts. There's the art part of it and the science part of this. So in the science part, we look at historic data. We look at similar projects. Being around for 40 years, we have a lot of data on all kinds of changes, all kinds of projects, all kinds of situations. We rely on that data to give us a baseline of what is required on this project. The next part that is the art part of it. And in that, we look at the unknowns and how to deal with unknowns. One of the key areas is the unknown part of our projects and to identify them correctly.
So interesting. It's not just about keeping everyone 100% busy, but making sure they're busy on the right things.
Absolutely. In a typical project, we'll have between 15 to 20 different skill sets, your analysts, your accounting analysts, your data migration experts, and so on. So to have the right team build-up, the right workflow, as well as the right attention paid to a critical matter at the right time is key. And when we pull them in, a lot of times in a 5-year, 3-year, 2-year project, they won't be assigned for the whole duration. They'll come in as needed, affecting efficiency and cost effectiveness as well.
However, asset finance firms usually have strict budgets. So how do you deal with this and how do budget pressures factor in?
That's a critical one, and that's something that at times is outside our control. A lot of things that companies we would do differently, I will not say that they do wrong, but that we would do differently, is not define a budget before going into the market and seeing what complexities are there, what is actually required to deliver on this. So a lot of times people have funding, people have certain other criteria, so they will create a budget before even realizing what they're getting into. And then we are stuck as vendors to fit a project in a budget that either is too much or too little. The right way that we recommend is having a high-level budget, a overall budget, but really looking into best practices of vendors, looking into the market, and then figuring out what they are quoting and how that would relate to your budget. A lot of times you'll be surprised to see that maybe you've allotted too much. Too less is a bigger problem, as that will mean that a team or the right sizing is too little, and that is very, very critical for projects not to be understaffed.
So would it be possible for you to give a real-world example of right-sizing in an asset finance project?
Recently, we engaged a equipment finance company, an equipment captive. It was a 2-country 6 product phased go live. So we had Australia, New Zealand, we had many, many different products. And how we approached that is we did it in phases. We combined certain things like the discovery or the business process mapping of Australia and New Zealand together. When we delivered separately. So what we did was we combined some areas, we separated some areas, we reduced the risk, we reduced risk on testing and training. And that was a very good case study on us going live with a very, very complex situation.
Definitely. It sounds like in these situations, communication is crucial too, to know when to add or remove people. How do you manage that with stakeholders?
It's a very key area. There's 2 dimensions to this. There's the working team dimension, where we have an exact flow of what is required at what time, and we'll make sure that the right data migration expert or the right business analyst is available at that certain time. The second dimension to this is the stakeholder or the senior level of communication. As these are 2-year, 5-year projects with a lot of investment, there's communication at every level, on the user level, on the project level, as well as going up to the management level. Weekly meetings, daily meetings, monthly meetings, different governance levels to make sure that we are on track. And if there is a change, whether that's a change in scope, a change in requirement, and these things happen as we're implementing over 2 years, our regulation may change. As those changes happen, we have a very strong change control board that steps in with the right stakeholders to ensure that we are agile as our customers need it.
Yeah, excellent, Farooq. So before we move on, do you have any final tips on resource management for our listeners?
Yeah, I think prioritization would be the first one, and strategically so. So what you need, how you hire, when testing cycles increase. In a lot of projects, we all know that there will be a testing phase where 2-3 months of that time, your users will be spending there, right? So getting a third party, hiring appropriately. So that's the strategy that I'm trying to give an example of looking at what you need and then trying to solve that problem.
Thank you very much for sharing. That was some great advice. Rightsizing is clearly both an art and a science, balancing efficiency with enough capacity to handle the work.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.